This is the Sports Source, presented by Junk Be Gone and Renewal by Anderson. Now, your host, John Pennington.
Welcome into the Sports Source on this Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to talk Tennessee all day, maybe a little Super Bowl later, but only as it ties to Tennessee. Vols win 16 in a row. That's a school record. You've also got signing day coming up, so we'll preview that. Where does Grant Williams rank among all-time Vols? We got a lot to cover. Let's get right into it. First segment of this program today is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, and it is their big President's Day sale all month long. Get your free quote and schedule installation by February 28th, and you're going to get 15% off all windows and patio doors. 15% off, plus get an additional $25 off every single window you buy. You cannot beat that in terms of quality or pricing. Renewal by Anderson. Visit their showroom, visit their website, give them a call. You'll be happy that you did. It adds value to your home. All right. Want to welcome in some guys who add value to my show. We got Mark Pancratz right here, who, of course, is a former Vol staff member under Bruce Pearl and Conzo Martin. And then we have our longtime sports writers, including the Hall of Famer right here, Mike Strain, Chuck Cavaleras. Thanks, guys, for being here. We got a couple more guys to bring out in a little bit as we move into football, et cetera. Tennessee was challenged twice on the road this week. They go to Carolina. Jordan Bowden doesn't play. They win anyway. And against the Carolina team that had been doing pretty well. They go to Texas A&M. It's a long road trip. I think a lot of people probably said, all right, if you're going to drop one, you could see that happening. Midway through the second half, Aggie crowd getting into it. A&M brings it tight. Tennessee just decides to shift gears. And that's the thing I want to start with. You guys tell me. I may be wrong. You may think I'm wrong. I've said it. I've hinted at this before this year. But this team reminds me of Kentucky teams in the past, or a Carolina team, or a Duke team, the kind of team that you want to see lose if you're the opponent. You watch a team, you think the upset's coming, the crowd gets into it, it's really close, and then they just have another gear. It's like, oh, no, we're sorry. Did we let you think you had a chance? No, you're going to be dusted by 12 when this thing's done, 15 points. Am I right or wrong on that? But this team reminds me, and I'll start with these guys first, and I'll come back to you. Am I right or wrong on that? Does this remind you of some of those teams? Am I too giddy? I've been giddy on this team all year. Am I too lovey-dovey?
No, because, I think I started noticing it last year when this team could fall behind by 13 points in the first half, and there's no panic.
So you noticed it first, and I was slow.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
But, I think it all goes back to depth. You've got somebody you can come in that's fresh, that can put points on the board, help you find a way to win the ball game. And they've been doing it, been playing together for 3 years. So, no, I think that's a great point on your part.
Only after, yeah. I love the look of the game. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, they've just got so many guys. And when you've got Lamonte Turner back in the mix like he is, my goodness, the guard play last night. But say Admiral can have a bad half. Grant Williams can get in foul trouble, and they still are Bowden, Turner, Bone, somebody's picking it up.
Bone, who's having a terrific stretch of play right now.
I don't go against what I don't think there is depth. I think we're playing great, but the one thing of kicking another gear, it's that swagger that Admiral Schofield and Grant Williams have that has carried over to Bowden, to Turner, to Bone, and it starts with Barnes. Every time they made a shot or they went on a little bit of run, it was almost a different guy that came off a down screen, knocked down a shot. They come on a timeout, they get somebody else a shot. And so to me, you're right. Whether it's they kick into another gear, they just don't beat themselves, and they all have confidence to whoever the defense leaves open, they're going to knock the shot down.
But how many teams in the country can go 9 deep? That's 8 or 9. That's what I'm counting as depth.
Last night they played 4 guys, 31-plus minutes. Yeah. The only guy that did not was Admiral Schofield because he got in foul trouble.
Let's go to the graphic.
Yeah. You had 2 minutes from Pons and 3 minutes from other guys, and then your bench. The team only had 8 turnovers. 3 of them came from your bench guys that played a combined 11 minutes.
Yeah, last night was not the perfect example of this team's depth. You've only had 6 guys in double-digit minutes, as you see right there, but you see the equal scoring, too. I do want to say this. Basketball is such a momentum sport. One thing, whether it's kicking it into another gear, or maybe this is a better way to say it, they don't fall into the momentum of another team. The other team can get going. This team may have, maybe it's just the mentality that we're not going to fall victim to this.
Yeah.
They are able to stave off those runs, to silence the crowd, to put it out of their head. It's very impressive. Whatever it is, they've got it, and it's the first Tennessee team I've ever seen that has it.
Yeah, and the one guy that can fall into that, and he apparently got up in the locker room a couple games ago and apologized to his team, it's your emotional leader, Schofield. And he got caught up in that a little bit. He took some outside shots that weren't his. But then Barnes talked about last night, last 7 minutes of the game, Bones leading the timeouts.
Yeah.
And that is a huge transition. When your point guard is running the show off the court as well, that's a great sign.
Yeah, the quote after the game was, I didn't have to say anything those last 7 minutes because we get in the huddle and Bone was saying everything I would want to say.
Yeah, and especially, you know, when A&M switched to zone, he makes the pass to Alexander. And if this team has it, John, maybe it's unselfishness. Maybe it's the way they share the ball. 28 assists last night. What was it, 40 made field goals? I mean, that's awesome.
Mark, I know that you, as a former assistant coach, if you had to take your choice, a night like last night when everyone's getting theirs versus a night like Vanderbilt where Grant Williams had to carry you with 43 points, you'll take the spread it around night.
Well, yeah, I think it's hard. We talked about early in the year, you go from the hardest thing now is you're hyped. Remember the hunter, the hunted,
right,
that type of thing, but this year they're the hyped. Well, now, if Grant, as great as he's been, if he's scoring 40 points, well, gosh, as the other guys getting the same love. So I'd much rather take a game last night where you've got all 4, all 5, 7 guys playing well because it bodes well for how that locker room, it can be fragile. And so I'm excited about where they're sharing the ball.
Thoughts on their defense last night? A&M only shot 44%, but thoughts on the defense?
They give up some baskets, and if you're playing at that tempo, scoring, you know, in the 80s, 90s, you know, like they have been a lot of games, I think maybe you don't have the intensity every defensive possession if you're playing at that tempo offensively.
Does everybody make threes like that during the season, like they seem to against Tennessee, and get some of those open looks? I mean, that's one thing you got to look at.
Well, to me, it goes back to depth. If guys are playing 34-plus minutes, 32-plus minutes, they don't have the same energy and effort and focus defensively because they're saving themselves for offense. And so that's where we need guys like Pons and guys like all the bench guys to come in and give that energy so that way the guys can take a little break here and there.
Good problem to have, though, if the big complaint is, well, we're winning 90-70. It should be 90-50. I mean, if your complaint is the defense could catch up to you, there are a lot of things that could catch up to you in basketball. I mean, in Tennessee, that's if your weak link is defense right now, if that's your weak link, everybody's got a weak link somewhere. And so far, you've been able to master it. I'm just impressed that home, road, whatever the environment, this team, even when challenged in different ways. This player's out. You go to Missouri and you have 2 guys, your 2 stars don't play well. They always seem to find an answer. Again, I don't think they're going to go undefeated the rest of the way, but it's a darn impressive basketball team and a heck of a lot of fun to watch.
You mentioned environment. South Carolina, Texas A&M, both places were packed. That's what you're getting every night on the road.
And Vols fans were there, too. You had a lot of UT fans that you could see, which was impressive. All right. Later on, is Grant Williams a top 5 Tennessee basketball player in the modern era? That may sound silly, but is he top 5? Is he higher? We'll show you some interesting numbers. But next, signing day is on Wednesday. Ryan Callahan joins us to get you ready for the top 7 battles to watch on signing day. Come on back.